Hey, welcome to the first devlog for RAMMBOK, game I've been working on for a month and a half now. It's a shmup. You may have seen my previous video, but we're going to do a bit of a deeper dive into what I've been working on because I've been spending a lot of time working on this game. So hey, let's just jump right in. I'm going to try and do this video without editing because editing takes a long time and I want to get back to work on the game. So let's do this. I'm working in a program called Godot. It's been pretty, I'm not going to say easy, but easier to learn than, say, Unity or Unreal, so I've been liking it for the most part. Let's check out a few things real quick that I already went over, but we can go into some things a little deeper because they've been refined and feel better now. So here's the start screen, obviously not final, but the art is pretty close to final. Let's just... I thought it was paused because I disabled the progress node. I have a thing called the progress node that scrolls the screen, and that's what I put all my enemies on. But I have this little debug thing. I can full screen it right here. So hey, here's the full screen, everything in 4K. I originally started working on this game a couple years ago, doing the art, and it was all designed for 1080p. So I luckily drew things way bigger, re-exported them now. It all is native 4K. So here's the ship. We got analog control, see it's slow or fast as you go. Obviously, you can still use the D-pad, but the idea is that you have a lot of like fine-tuned controls because you have, well, you want to get in close. But first, we got the shot. You mash X, you get your shot. Simple. You hold A, you get a rapid-fire shot. Pretty basic, but if you mash X, you can go as fast as you want. The game is designed so you don't have to worry about mashing like crazy, especially with the way my hands are deteriorating in my old age. Having a rapid fire is just nice to have. Then we have the big attack that the game is named after, the Ram. The Ram, obviously, we'll show you enemies in a second, but the Ram knocks enemies into other enemies, and there are many, many things that are designed around this. Pretty much the entire game is designed around this mechanic. Then we have the pulse attack. I will demonstrate what the pulse does later, but it destroys bullets. And then finally we have this attack, which was in my previous video, the dash attack, which is kind of like a super ram attack, but it has way bigger hitbox. It's a little dangerous because you get in really, really far. Like, it basically pushes you half the screen. The hardest part about this was right here, at the top of the screen, figuring out how to get this to work. I won't go into details, but when I did, I was very happy it actually worked. Another thing to note is the way the camera pans left to right. So the games like Raiden and wow, I can't remember off the top of my head. Battle Garega, they have a camera like this, and I feel like that just works for the way RAMMBOK is. All right, so obviously we need to see some enemies, right? So let's get into that. Enemy formations. I got to turn on a little thing. So here's my progress node. What I'm doing is I have a progress node that scrolls. I put the background on the progress node, and then I put the formations on the progress node. When the formations hit this little pink box right here into the screen, they detach, and then you have your formations separated. I also have these triggers for different story beats or just wherever the level needs to stop. Those are all in place already. Gotta turn on scroll speed. So right now it's at 0. That's why nothing's happened. I'll move it to 100, nice and slow, and we'll start it up again. Go full screen. And the level's scrolling now. There's some enemies. The crate makes you blow up and respawn. This was also a very difficult one for me. I basically moved the character off screen and then created a tween animation. It sounds simple, but it's just getting it to work with everything was a lot. Also, you could see over here. Oh, I had the mouse disappear on screen, but basically, if you look to the side, you see a little 1. Oh, you can't. My camera's covering it. You can see a little chain modifier there. It says hi, and then a little 1 there. So all the UI there is already working. It updates as the player gets killed. If you hit L and R, L1, R1, you can see it goes from low to high. This is kind of a compromise for when you're playing with D-pad. If you want to go faster or slower, like with many, many bullets are on screen, you want to be able to move slowly. Turn the camera on because I'm doing hand motions. Move slowly. Then you want to switch from high to low. Or if you're playing an analog, you might not need it at all. I really like this mechanic in some of the... I was going to say the newer R-Type games, but R-Type Final and R-Type Delta came out over 20 years ago, so that's not exactly new. But I think it's good to have that amount of control, especially, like I said, you want to get in close in this game. I'll keep my face on screen for a bit, and we'll go back into it. I also have some debug stuff where I could slow down like this. But yeah, the ship blinks for a few seconds, you're invulnerable, you know, nothing special. I prefer having respawns to, like, checkpoints. It's very frustrating when I go back to an old shmup nowadays, and it makes me start the entire level over just because I died. I definitely prefer, like, you die, you come right back. So that's what I did. There's another formation I have here, which I can demonstrate the RAM. It might take a second, but let's see, what else should I talk about? Oh, there they are. So here's a few more enemies. Here we have the satellites. We have the sentries, which are bigger, stronger enemies. And then we have the death ball. Now, the special thing about the death ball is when you ram it, it's a little different than other enemies. When you ram an enemy into an enemy, normally they smack, they die, that's it. And you get a one chain. You know what? I'm going to do this right now, and then we'll restart the level. Okay, you might have seen it went diagonal. Depending on where you are, it will go straight or diagonal. Head on like this. You go like that, you get a one chain. Now, originally it was going to be a 2-timer, but if you look over here, I'll disable this again. See how it says ×3? That was 2 ram attacks. Each ram attack goes up by 1, and this is persistent. Now, I'm toying with the idea of having a bar that, like, goes down as you aren't hitting enemies. I might just... We'll see. I mean, we'll play testing. I'm going to figure it out. I just recently, like 2 days ago, put in the chaining like that. So now you can see it happen in real time now that I'm not on screen. I'm going to hit this guy. The special thing about the death ball is that it has a defense stat. It can plow through enemies. And this enemy has 20 health. The death ball does 20 damage. The death ball has 20 health, but it has 1 defense. So when it hits the other enemy, it still survives. But when it hits 2, well, just watch. Oop. So it goes through one enemy, kills the other one, and you might have noticed the +2. Chain went up by +1 and then +2 because you hit it with the same enemy. Now, theoretically, you could hit the death ball on 3 enemies and get a total chain of 1 + 2 + 3 is 6. So you benefit from using the RAM optimally. Now you can see your chains at 6. This multiplier, you might have noticed the score, basically multiplies by the enemy's base score. So if this guy has 5, he has, like, I think he has 20 points on him. So 20 times 6, that's how much he'll score. But if your multiplier is only at 1, you only get 20. So you get huge gains by building your chain meter up the whole way. I'm toying with some of the things you can do with having higher chains. And moves like the pulse and the ram use meter. That meter is also going to be tied to how much you're chaining. I am also toying with the idea of just having it tied to how much you use the ram attack. All of this is iterating, playtesting. That's just game dev, you know. One more thing I wanted to show you is that you notice how you can hit the enemies straight, diagonal. All baked in physics, all stuff that I did based on velocity. There is no, like, built-in physics processes that I'm using. I don't like having variables. Like, it needs to be straight, diagonal, that's it. I just noticed I'm still not showing my face and I'm doing all these hand gestures. Doesn't matter. All you need to know is I had this little effect. You know in Smash Brothers, when you knock somebody off screen, you get like a explosion effect? I had something similar. I'll put this in slow. It's not a... Well, we'll see. See that little effect on the top of the screen? So now you know when the guy's left the screen. And you do still get the score for it. If you knock someone off screen, you still get the score, but there are some other benefits you don't get. I don't remember them off the top of my head. Let's put my camera back on. So yeah, we're at the end of the level. I'm probably gonna drop the saturation down a bit, maybe blur it. It's kind of distracting. I don't know. Just little things. A lot of little tweaks as I go. So I'm gonna use my little debug escape and get back out of there. Let's see. We have covered chaining. We've covered different formations. We've covered the ram attack to some degree. Let's move on to my bullet spawner and the state machine. I don't know if you're familiar with programming, you might be familiar with states. Oh, good, I have Discord open. You know what? Let's get you out of here. States allow you to go from one state to another. So if I have an attack state, you can go to an idle state, you can go to a move state. And those are the 3 core states that I use for my bullet patterns. What I wanted to do before really implementing a lot of levels and enemy formations, was to have a thing called a spawner that just had pretty much anything I could think of. Any bullet pattern I could possibly think of. For some reason, I'm like, let's just put it all on one component. So that's what I did, and then I moved it over to the state machine. So I'll just show real quick. I think the helicopter enemy is probably the best example of this. So on the helicopter enemy, you see over here. Where are we? Oh yeah, here we go. The fire state. So we have all these different states over here. I'm going to demonstrate them right now. Let's see. Let's go to level 1, and we'll bring in the spawn helper. Oh, and I should definitely turn off the screen scroll again so I don't have too many enemies again. Let's go here. Again, I'm not planning on editing this thing. All right, so that should make sure no enemies show up. And then I'll bring in my spawn helper. That is not the spawn helper. Why are you selecting both of them? Here we go. I use a little Godot icon because that's just what everybody does. And I will show you what it does. So by default, it's doing this. I cannot do this in full screen because I want to demonstrate what it does. So it's doing a 3-round burst with a delay. If I go over to a little spawn helper thingy here, and the fire state. Right now we have projectile speed 500. I could change that. This is real basic. Here we go. 100, real slow. You can go all the way up to 2,000. That's stupid, though. I think 300 is a pretty good speed. Projectiles for spawn, I could change it. I can make it 6 projectiles per spawn. It's actually just spawning them all at once right now. But if I change the arc, it'll do it in a little spread right there. I'm going to get hit. If I do it in a 360 arc, it goes equally in every direction. This is a little safe spot right here. Yeah, I'll just stay right here. It's nice and safe. But if I spin it, well, now all of a sudden, it might not be so easy to dodge all this. And go really fast. Well, that doesn't really make much of a difference. I'm going to pause it because I know I'm going to die. I have 3 lives. I can do what I want. So basically, we have this. We have the starting angle. That lets you do like a little bit of a spray. The number of spawns. Like I said, it was doing like a burst fire. Spawn gap. You can make it... I have this thing called Remain Child, which in the hierarchy, you have the parent and the child. You remember in Super Mario Brothers, you have like the fire bar. Basically, it'll move. The projectiles will move with the thing spawning it. You can scale it on spawn. I've put a lot of things in place, so I feel like any enemy now that I create, I can kind of just start with this type of spawn component. I'm going to show you one thing I would like to do with this. Oh, you know what? No, I'm going to show you one thing here. It could also spawn enemies. I have to get out of here because it won't show me the screen. So let's just say I want to spawn satellites. I want to do it at 500 speed. How many projectiles per spawn? We'll do 1 projectile per spawn. We don't have to worry about the arc, but we are going to spin. We're going to spin around 150. Starting angle doesn't matter. We can just go back to 0. Number of spawns, we're not going to do any because we're going to put on repeat. So repeat is on. We're going to rotate the spawn? Yeah, let's rotate the spawn so that the thing that spawns is going to go in the angle of the direction it's facing. Remain child? No, we don't think we want to do that. And spawn gap? We need a spawn gap or it's going to spawn way too close together. I think 0.2, nice and tight. Repeat delay. Since we have a spawn gap, I should be safe to make the repeat delay 0. And I wonder what it's going to look like. I have an idea. Let's see. Yep. Whee! So, yeah. I can do all kinds of stuff with this component. And this took a very long time. It took a very long time to make this. And it's probably going to get tweaks over time as well. But you could also do... Oh, man. I want to safely... Oh, my God. So there were a ridiculous number of enemies on screen, and it didn't crash. That's a good sign. The sounds did overlap, though. So little tweaks like that will have to come in time. But that is basically my spawn helper. I'm not really going to put this in many places, but if you remember Like, say, Ikaruga level 1, where there's just, like, bullets coming out of a tower, and you can't hit them, they're just part of the environment. This is where this would come into play, and I would just hide the little fun face. Or maybe I wouldn't. Bonus Easter egg. Oh, I meant to show the bullet destruction. All right, let's do that real quick. Quick load. We'll go back to bullets. We'll do the diamond this time just to mix things up. Oh, I renamed it Cube. My bad. Cube projectile. Let's not have it spawn so tight together. Let's make it half a second. Let's go slow speed. Projectiles for spawn. Let's go 10. Let's go full arc so we'll get a nice 360 splash. Spin speed. No spin this time. Starting angle doesn't matter because it's a full 360. Spawns. No, we're just going to keep it on repeat again, so no spawns. And I think that'll do. No rotate spawn. Ooh, excuse me. I really should edit this. But I won't. Oh my god. I put that too close together. That is too close together. All right, let's just make sure we have a repeat delay, I guess. Oh, you know what? I used a spawn gap, but there's only one spawn, so that literally did nothing. Sometimes I forget what my own stuff does. Repeat delay, half second. Probably fine. Let's try it again. There we go. So, the pulse animation destroys bullets. Keeps you safe. I'm contemplating whether or not I need to make this bigger. It's already bigger than the original size. Also, I'm thinking about having a shockwave around ram hits as well, because when you hit something and a bullet's coming at you, it's scary. But also, the dash attack goes through bullets too. Similar effect. It leaves you wide open, so you gotta be careful. And see how fast I am? Now, if I went down to the low like this, see how fast? Now we're in low speed right here. It doesn't affect your dash attack, but it does affect your ability to do this. The hitbox is very small in the RAMMBOK, but let's see how tight we can get in there before dying. There we go. When you die, you might have noticed there's a little shockwave that also destroys bullets. And I'm just going to show you just a game over. It's nothing special, but go back to high speed and game over, yeah. So there's the game over screen. Obviously just temporary right now. All right, we're moving right along. Yes, I have done even more than this in less than 2 months. I've been working pretty hard on this game. Let's see, what we got next? I have an enemy generator. Do I want to go to that already? I think we might actually be there already. I guess I have kind of flown through most of my bullet. There's a lot more going on behind the hood, but I don't think you want to really go into the real minutia there. If you have any questions, though, please feel free. Join the Discord. Come to twitch.tv/hybridmink. You can ask me whatever you want. Yeah, I think all that's really left now is to just show you the enemy generator, see some of the enemies. I haven't shown all of them yet, and maybe see how far I can get and how high my score can get. My enemy generator is kind of borked right now, so hopefully I can get at least a little ways into it. Let's get rid of the spawn helper. We don't want you messing things up. And let's go to the environment node and turn on my enemy generator. And let's start it up. You know what? I don't think I changed my scroll speed back. Let's do that first. Yep, scroll speed's at 0. Gotta change that. Though the enemy generator should still be doing stuff. That's weird. Let's get rid of these formations. Oh, it's hidden. Okay. So the enemy generator right now has 6 enemies. I have 6 enemies in the game right now, and they all have various properties. Some fire, some don't. Some can plow through enemies, some don't. So here's the base enemy of the satellite. We have this guy. So this was using those fire states I just showed. He has 4 health. These guys have 2. But what we want to do, we want to get our chain as high as possible. So let's try that. The sound means that the enemy state is changed and different enemies will spawn. That's just like a placeholder thing. See, these guys don't take any damage. That was the defense stat that I mentioned earlier. We got a pretty good chain up there. Damn. Now at this point, it's just sentries. It gets a little ridiculous. They have a bit of a spray using the spawn helper I had showed you earlier. It's just too much at this point. Yeah, so before I was able to go pretty far. Now it's like, oh, I got to deal with only the highest level enemy. That's a bit much. Down to our last life here. Whoop. I do want to tweak the dash attack a little bit, but it's pretty far along. And yeah, that's just a general idea. I'm going to do this one more time because we didn't really get to see the helicopter. The helicopter enemy tracks the player, and when you get close to it, it actually backs off a bit. So it's probably the most complicated AI I have out of all the enemies right now. That was terrible. I have a little reset debug I'm going to use. And let's just try and get a couple chains here. Oh, you might notice the enemies bop into each other. That's the little thing called soft collision. Enemies have weight classes. The bigger enemies, higher weight class. Smaller enemies, smaller weight class. They get bopped a little further. I don't know how much that's going to come into play in the final game. But for now, I think it's good to have, at least for this randomly generated segment. Originally, they were just overlapping. It was terrible. Crates do a ridiculous splash. There we go. See how they like kind of back off? And they have startup animations. That's another thing I implemented recently was startup animations for certain attacks. You don't want to just be like left hanging when a guy's right next to you. That was not going to happen. Obviously, the final game will not have super unfair patterns like this. Well, you know what? There might be a couple. You know, sometimes we like have a couple unfair patterns. But yeah, once these helicopters die, it's just going to be those big old ball sentry guys. I got my chain up to 30. The max chain is going to be 99. That's the plan. But again, testing, you never know what might happen. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed a deeper look into RAMMBOK. I'm going to continue working on this game. I think I've gotten pretty far. Luckily, a lot of the art was already made before I started developing this. So I was able to get pretty far pretty quickly. And I'm going to have another one for you next month. So if you're supporting me on Patreon, it's absolutely helping me continue working on this game. I appreciate it very much. If you'd like, I have a high tier producer level. So you go to my Patreon and you can see it. You get a special Discord role, beta access, and your name in the credits in the game once it's out. Or maybe if I like you, I'll put them in there no matter what. I guess that's about it. Patreon, Twitch, yada yada. You can check all my usual social medias. You can go to hybridmink.com. I'm now selling art prints on my website too, so there's lots of ways you can check out my stuff and support my work if you'd like. Thanks for sticking through the whole video, or if you skim to the very end just to see what I would do at the end, I don't have anything for you. Thank you. Goodbye.